Hey guys, Matt, brief follow-up to yesterday's video on solar eclipse. This is on lunar eclipse and another impossible, ridiculous, absurd phenomenon that they try to explain away and they don't do a very good job explaining if you really, are a free thinker and you don't just, follow whatever David Muir tells you. So this does relate to Greg's recent video over at Exploring the Rabbit Hole, and I will pop over here in a moment. But for now, this one little tidbit on an impossibility associated with the lunar eclipse. Yesterday's video was on the string of impossibilities on the solar eclipse. This is October 5th, 2014, space.com. Total lunar eclipse on Wednesday, again, 2014, upcoming, will be a rare selenelion. I don't know how to pronounce that. Selenelion, I don't know. Now, before I go through here, let me just go over to Greg's video and explain. I'm not going to play it, but I'll explain what it is. Basically, this is Greg. You are Greg here in South Carolina looking, of course, it would have to be looking west. And the sun is coming up behind you in the east. Of course, the sun has already poked its way up. It's light outside. Probably poked its way up 5 minutes at 7:05, something like that. It's pretty light outside. So if this is a lunar eclipse, which means part of the moon is cut off or in shadow from the Earth, blocking sunlight. Earth is in between the moon and the sun. Earth is blocking light to the moon. Okay, how is it possible that the top half is dark? This is the selenelion phenomenon, and they don't explain it very well, as I'll show you. Is it another string in a long line of bullcrap? Yeah, in my opinion. So if you're Greg here looking at the moon in the west, it must be the west. I mean, the sun rises in the east, the sun would be behind. It's just sunup. So the portion of the moon that is most easily lit by sunlight would be the top portion if the sun's behind you here, if you see what I'm saying. The bottom portion of the moon that's closer to the horizon or where Greg is standing would be the part that would be the hardest to be lit up. The Earth would be most in the way of the bottom and the least in the way of the top, yet the top is cut off. Greg also noted that if the Earth is a globe, that the angle of this curve doesn't even match what the Earth should be per globe. It's the opposite. So just that's selenelion. Okay. It's obviously if the sun up's behind you, the top of the moon should be lit. If there's a half that should be lit, it should be the top. I know it's just for those that really, this is kind of hard to get. I know for many people that already get it, it seems like I'm repeating myself a million times, but we got to keep everybody together on these videos. Not everybody's at the same level. It's not that easy if you've never thought about this stuff before. So we go over here to space.com, another authority on what's happening in your heavens, and you should just bow down and believe without actually thinking for yourself, just like my ex-girlfriend at Vintage Space who keeps calling me. Stop calling me, honey. I'm not going out with you anymore, Vintage Space. So here's what they do. October 5th, 2014. Again, they're saying here, I just noticed some things here that are very, very strange in their description. The little used name for this effect is called selenelion, a phenomenon that celestial geometry says cannot happen. Yeah, that's why Greg titled his video Impossible Effect. He just went out to shoot the lunar eclipse. He didn't know what the hell selenelion is. He went out to shoot the lunar eclipse and he's like, the top half's cut off. That's friggin' impossible. So he captured it and made a video about it months ago, and he re-uploaded his video. But check out the additional descriptions and what they say here. It's nonsensical. And indeed, during a lunar eclipse, the sun and the moon are exactly 180 degrees apart in the sky, in a perfect alignment like this, called a a what? Sizes. I'm not sorry. Let's skip that word. Such an observation would seem impossible. Greg didn't even see this article, and he labeled his video impossible. Interesting. But thanks to Earth, get this, where have we heard this before? But thanks to Earth's atmosphere, the images of both the sun and the moon are apparently lifted above the horizon by atmospheric refraction. This allows people on Earth to see the sun for several extra minutes before it actually has risen, and to see the moon for several extra minutes after it has actually set. Greg, you should be ashamed of yourself. When you went out to record this thing, you and everybody else should know that when you're shooting this and looking at that, that's not actually the moon. That's a refracted image, according to space.com and my ex-girlfriend at Vintage Space and NASA. Greg, come on, Greg. How could you fall for such a thing? Why would you think you're actually looking at the moon? According to space.com, it had already actually set, you dummy. You're looking at a refracted image. You should have known that. Everybody should know that. Our whole lives we've been told how everything we see in the sky is a refracted image, right? No, we've never heard that before. And then, Greg, if you were to turn around right now and look at the sun and see the sun up, according to space.com, it's not up yet. You dummy. It's not up yet. It's a refracted image. It's actually below the horizon. Well, if that's the case, then every single time the sun comes up, every single morning of our lives through human history, it's not actually there. It's a refracted image. And why does it have to be an eclipse? Right? Every single time you see the moon anywhere, well, if the Earth's atmosphere refracts everything, it's not actually there. It's over there. And Orion's belt isn't actually there either. It's over there. But see, here's the problem with this. Like there aren't apparent problems I don't even have to point out. The problem is I've lived on this earth a long time. I've paid attention in school and watched my share of Carl Sagan and Nova and all these dumb shows, and I've actually listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson many years ago thinking that bagel boy, that donut boy was actually telling me the truth. I watched his series called Cosmos. Other than the fact it was all lies, it was actually well done. We've never heard anything about this. Images aren't actually where they appear to be because of refraction. Like that's all new to me. I wouldn't have missed that. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't use this selective explanation for selenelion, which means any object you see then would be a refracted image and not actually there. Have we ever heard that? No, we haven't. Tell me what I'm missing, guys. And Greg, shame on you, Greg, for thinking you were actually looking at the moon when it wasn't even there. It was below. It had already set. Oh my God, what will they come up with next? Thanks, guys.